Eriksons psychosocial development.
We are Team Kelser.
Erikson was born on June 15, 1902 in Frankfurt, Germany. He was brought up by a Jewish mother who later married a physician named Dr. Theodor. Even though this was not his biological father, learning the truth made him acknowledge and experience his identity crisis. When he attended Temple School, the experience that he had there sparked his identity crisis, as well as his future career for uncovering identity formation.
After graduating high school, Erikson decided to travel through Europe instead of going to college. But while traveling through Europe, he earned a degree in psychoanalysis at the Vienna Psychoanalytic Society.
Still traveling through Europe, he took a teaching position at a school and met Sigmund Freud and his wife, where he became a patient for an experiment that was developed by Freud's wife.
While at the school, he met his wife, Joan, who was a dance instructor. They married in 1930 and had 3 children.
In 1933, he moved back to the United States with his family to take up a teaching position at Harvard Medical School. While still teaching at Harvard, he opened up a private practice in child psychoanalysis. Even though he was a teacher at Harvard, he also taught at many different places.
During his teaching career, he had the opportunity to publish many books, such as Childhood and Society, The Life Cycle Completed, and Gandhi's Truth. He then died May 12, 1994.
Erikson's theory describes each distinct stage with 2 unique outcomes. In each theory, it involves a successful completion of each stage, resulting in a healthy personality and positive interactions with others.
First stage, trust versus mistrust, occurs between birth and approximately 18 months of age. According to Erikson, this is the most important stage in a person's life. The shaping of a child's personality depends on their interactions with people around them. This is when children learn to trust. If their needs are not met, they can mistrust the people around them. The balance of trust with mistrust depends largely on the quality of maternal relationships.
Second stage, autonomy versus shame and doubt. This stage is during early childhood, which is 2 to 3 years of age. During this stage, walking, talking, and feeding ourselves takes place, along with children developing a sense of control over their own personal skills. Children are beginning to make their own choices and are becoming independent. During this stage, children need their parents to support and encourage their child's newly found independence so they don't repeat failure or be ridiculed for this failure. If a child successfully passes this stage, then they will develop a sense of will as well as be more confident with themselves. If they aren't encouraged by parents and are not allowed the right to be independent, then they will become dependent on others and may feel shame upon themselves as well as lack self-esteem.
Third stage, initiative versus guilt, 3 to 5 years of age. This is the time when the child gets the ability or drive to get up and do something, which makes the parents very cautious and sometimes tries to defend them from doing it. The parents are in a worried state of mind and want to protect their child from going out into the world and achieving something that they wanted to pursue. Children become more advanced in wanting to organize their own lives with activities, instead of their parents always making the plans or having to rely on them. Children also start to make decisions for themselves, develop leadership skills, and slowly start to not rely on their parents anymore. Children don't get the opportunity to stop relying on their parents whether it be through criticism or control, then the children will start to feel guilt, which could lead to becoming a follower and having no self-confidence compared to somebody that is a leader and that has self-confidence. The child will develop a sense of trust if the style of parenting is constant, prepared, and faithful. In the future, this will help them with relationships and not to have trust issues with people. Ultimately, accomplishing this stage will help the child lead to hope.
Fourth stage, industry versus inferiority. This stage occurs between the ages of 6 and 11. In this stage, children need to cope with new social demands. Children develop a sense of pride in their abilities. If a child is encouraged and rewarded for their accomplishments, they will demonstrate industry. If the child is punished for efforts, then they develop feelings of inferiority.
Fifth stage, identity versus role confusion. This stage occurs during adolescence between the ages of approximately 12 to 18 years old. Erikson named this period of time by defining confusion within the mind and body in a quest to find out who you are in this world. Teens need to develop a sense of personal identity and self-control. During adolescence, children are trying to explore their freedom and developing a sense of self. Transitioning from childhood to adulthood, teens can begin to feel insecure about themselves and are confused about how they fit into society. As teens are figuring out their self, they may experience with different tasks, activities, and behaviors. Each society has different values and expectations of their growing children, and this is clear because of the period of finding oneself, your identity, and your place in the world. From our developing identity or lack of identity, we will either choose our loyalties and commitments, or we will stay clear away from them and be confused in what we believe in. Once we reach the stage of pure foundation, in previous stages can determine our level and clarity of fidelity. Being able to identify our own wants and needs from those of others proves itself, since we are constantly concerned about how we appear to others during this stage.
Sixth stage, intimacy versus isolation. This stage takes place during young adulthood, between the ages of approximately 19 and 40. Major conflict centers on forming intimate, loving relationships with others. As Erikson believed, having a fully formed sense of self is essential to develop intimate relationships. Those who have a poor sense of self, studies show, tend to have less committed relationships and are more likely to suffer from depression and loneliness. Erikson believed it was vital for people to form close relationships with other people. Success leads to strong relationships.
You know, when I was a kid, I would have given anything to be exactly like everybody else.
You wanted to be petty and dishonest?
Everybody's not like that.
Yes, they are.
You're not like that.
How do you know what I'm like?
All I know is you're the most amazing person with weak ankles I've ever met.
Oh. Oh.
Meg, when I'm with you, I don't feel so alone.
Sometimes it's better to be alone.
What do you mean?
Nobody can hurt you.
Meg, I would never, ever hurt you.
And I don't want to hurt you, so let's both do ourselves a favor and stop this before we...
Seventh stage, generativity versus stagnation. This stage takes place during middle adulthood, which is ages 35 to 55 or 65. At this point, most adults are most absorbed in their work and are concerned with issues their families have. Most adults in this stage will take charge of the position they are currently involved in. Our main goal in the seventh stage is to pass down our values of culture through our family and creating a sound environment for our children. When we do this, we are left feeling productive and full of meaning. We can also feel fear being meaningless during this time. This is a time where the midlife crisis will take place, if it does. This is a period where our goals and purposes might be shifting, which will cause stress within. If we don't successfully find meaning and get through a midlife crisis, we can be less stagnant and absorbed with ours.
Eighth stage, integrity versus despair. Older adults look back on life and feel a sense of fulfillment. If you feel success at this stage, you will have feelings of wisdom. However, if you do not succeed, the older adult will feel regret, bitterness, and despair.
By completing Erikson's stages in a positive way, individuals will progress through the stages with self-fulfillment and feelings of worth. If one does not successfully complete a stage, they are typically left having feelings of self-doubt and feel discouraged about their ability.